This is Dan Riley for Passionate World Internet Radio. The election is over and people are either celebrating or mourning. But as divided as we are, I wanted to look into why, in this podcast, why toxic positivity in American culture got us to this point. I didn't ever vote for Donald Trump because I have an Indian American sister. I'll admit that up front. I felt something was off when we saw we had him to choose for president. For decades, let me move on here. For decades, leading up to this point, toxic positivity was baked into U.S. culture. For that matter, so was ego. For hundreds and hundreds of years, many Americans believed it didn't matter who you were, you would strike it rich if you just worked hard enough. The problem is, it's not that simple. Many more countries have more upward mobility than the United States. Striking it rich isn't just a matter of working hard. It matters, yes, where you're born, and other factors involving a little bit of luck. Most people in our country don't strike it rich. Meanwhile, in an understandable bid to make sure their kids had it a little better than they did, people in the liberal camp started promoting the self-esteem movement. The idea that to get ahead, their kids had to have confidence in themselves. However, the sad truth is that most people who wound up playing a sport for a living or acting in Hollywood won a genetic lottery. That's just not in the cards for most kids. Now, I admit I voted for Kamala Harris here. Donald Trump is in power and has divided people through his fair share of insults and nasty behavior. The depressing truth is, decades of unrealistic optimism, I would argue, got us to this point. Going forward, we may have to focus more on harsh reality than inspiring sentiment. This is Dan Riley. Thank you so much for tuning in, and so long.